how does someone make more money by having a bigger personal brand?
If you think about this as an entrepreneur, what problems can I make go away for other people? Give away a bunch of free content showing that I'm a subject matter expert in whatever that field is. And then if 1% of my audience buys my program, I will be outrageously wealthy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Money Mondays. We are here in the RV motorhome parked outside of Hubble Studio, where we are running back-to-back events. Roger Rojas is running his Content CEO workshop, and then tonight we're throwing an all-women's event with over 30 female speakers for our 55th edition of Elevator Nights. That's a really good lead-in to our guest today because he has his own large podcast and coaching group related to women, separate from the fact that he teaches very intellectually about politics, science, so many interesting topics that he's going to go into today. But what I really want to instill in you guys, as you guys know, our podcast runs for under 40 minutes because the average workout is 45 minutes and the average commute to work is 45 minutes. So this episode will be between 34 and 38 minutes for your listening pleasure. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, for your viewing pleasure, because we have a very handsome gentleman right next to us named Michael Sartain, who teaches the men of action how to deal with women, how to build personal brand, how to build their lifestyle, and enjoy themselves like he does more than any other man I've ever seen on the planet, live and build his own lifestyle so he can actually sell it because he lives it over and over and over and over for year after year. We've known each other for many, many years. So, Michael, as you can see, because you've watched this podcast before, you've been around, we've known each other for years, give us the quick 2-minute bio so we can get straight to the money.
So I feel important today because he wore a suit.
Yes.
You guys see
I
this?
dressed up for Michael Sartain.
Dan Fleischman is in a suit. This is unbelievable.
Twice a year, you know?
Okay, well, real quick.
Weddings, funerals, and Michael Sartain.
Yeah, that's it. The question again, would you say? The quick and dirty of what? 2-minute
bio so we can get straight to the money.
Okay, so I flew special ops in the Air Force for 5 years. I did counterintelligence for 2 years. And then I was I was a portfolio manager at a fund for about 6 years. I only sold short stock options. People always ask me, how'd you get hired at a fund? And I was explaining to them, I was the only person like in the world. There's like 3 of us that were selling this one type of strategy. And then afterwards, around 2006, my father passed away. He was killed by a drunk driver. My girlfriend broke up with me when I was deployed to the Middle East. I was a first lieutenant in the Air Force. And then when I was there, I watched the Mavericks lose. They were up 2-0 to the Heat and lost 4-2. And to say it lightly, I went through a very depressed state of mind. And I came back, and that's when I kind of got into the self-help space. I learned a lot of things. First book for me was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And then from that point on, it was just hundreds and hundreds of books, audio books, listening at double speed, and then trying to like learn all these different things, this understanding of finding mentors, which later on, meeting Ty Lopez, kind of helping with me with that concept. But 16 years of coaching men. And then around 2019, I'd been doing it for free up until that point. In 2019, I started my own company, Men of Action Mentoring, and we specialize in helping men with networking, communication, leadership, and dating. Leadership is the most underrated quality there is. I don't really feel like there's a lot of people teaching that here. Jocko Willick's probably the best in this space teaching it, but Jocko Willick doesn't teach dating. And then when you hear guys talk about building a brand, very rarely do I hear guys who talk about building a brand also use that in their dating life, and very rarely do I hear people in the dating space talk about leadership. So I created what I consider to be the most comprehensive male self-improvement course in history. And it's right now we've had 2,500 guys go through the course. And it's been fantastic. One of my favorite things about my course, and I get people when I tell them this all the time, my refund rate is below 1.5%. So my people always respond is, you're not charging enough. And I'm like, no, man, I love exactly where this course is. It's really, really great. And we've built a community on School. Sam Ovens' platform. We've built a community on School that's just been top notch and it's been absolutely incredible. The guys help each other out. We built a lot of our events surrounded by charity, and I learned that from you, and I learned that from Ty, and I learned that from Steve Fowler. So that's kind of the quick and dirty of how we started the program.
So on this podcast, we cover 3 core topics: how to make money, how to invest money, and how to give it away to charity. So let's walk us through why are most men scared to actually go make real money?
I think that there are, and I've heard other people talk about this. Ty talks about this. I just finished Dan Kennedy's book, Speak to Sell, and he goes over this specifically. which is this idea that you have been taught your whole life that making exorbitant amounts of money is bad. Have you read Speak to Sell by Dan Kennedy?
No.
He talks about it in the book. He goes, if it was legal for me to do it, I would come out off this stage. He's selling on stage. I would come off the stage. I would hit you over the head. I would take the money out of your wallet and I would enroll you in this course because you need it. And no matter what I'm selling you, I am giving you more than whatever monetary value you're giving me. If you know that whatever you're doing, your offer is truly helping people, you should have no problem inside as far as making money. And the thing is, what you're going to draw. Here's the funny part. You think as you make more money and you charge more, like I know you're doing like $1 million mastermind. As you make more money, you start to think, oh man, I'm taking advantage of people. And no, what happens is you start surrounding yourself with people who also know how to make money, and they're like, this is nothing. Like this is, of course, when. It's really funny. When you're broke, the idea of spending $20,000 on a course seems like a lot of money. When you meet people who are wealthy, one of the things you find is that they all spent $20,000 on a course to learn a skill set so that they could make money and offer things to other people. So it's one of these things. It's like, if I know some people are skeptical about courses, but then ask yourself, why does Ty Lopez spend millions of dollars on courses if he also sells a course? And it's one of the things that I also found is like in my company, we're always trying to consistently educate ourselves. When you understand that concept, if I take on value, then I should compensate other people for it. Then you understand that the reciprocal is also true. If you continually offer people tremendous amount of value, you should have no compunction against making money for it and being compensated rightly for it. And I think that's probably the best way to. You see Tony Robbins been doing this for years, changing people's lives. I think a lot of us have coaching programs because we watch Ty Lopez, because we watch Grant Cardone, because we watch Tony Robbins, and those people have millions of testimonials. That's not an accident.
So over the last few years, OnlyFans has gone through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And we've watched a lot of our mutual friends, a lot of girls making, and also some guys, but mostly girls, making some of them 6 figures a month, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. Why do you think that there's a lot of men or a lot of people in general, also a lot of girls that are mad at OnlyFans girls for making so much money?
Yeah, I think when you look at as a man, generally, there's two sort of species of men. There's men that do very well financially. If you were to bifurcate, if you were to look at men as far as wealth distribution, if you look at men as far as like lifetime sexual partners, it's very clear. There's a bottom 85% of men that sort of live in this average $59,000 a year, and they've maybe been with 1 or 2 women in their entire life. And then there's this like top 1% of men have been with 150 women. And so it's like 0, 5, and then in the median, and then when you get to the top, it's like 150. And what's happened is because of this bifurcation, there's this large group of men that has very little opportunity, and this small group of men that has very little. And this large group of men, they're looking and seeing girls on OnlyFans who are 19 years old and haven't finished a career or whatever, and they're making more money than these guys did after finishing a degree in accounting or running their own plumbing agency or whatever. These girls are very young and they're spending a lot of money, or they're making a lot of money at a very young age, and it's pretty much jealousy. Is there a societal blowback on this? Yes, because I think the dating space has become much more difficult now because so many women can receive validation on social media. And so because of that, they don't go out as much. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but nightclubs in the last 10 years have gotten significantly worse. Strip clubs are just devoid of attractive women now because they're getting their validation and money through Patreon, Instagram, OnlyFans, Fansly, all these different spots. And so that's caused the world to definitely change. But like, I think one of the things that I have learned from hanging out with you and other guys in this space is that we're all pulling for each other. And so being jealous of someone for making $600,000 a month on OnlyFans, I just think is pointless. Because here's the other problem. It's never going away. It's not going to go away. You just don't let them bother you. I just never understood the concept of someone else's money bothering you. Worry about your own money. So I think that's part of where the issue lies, is that it's just it's a function of jealousy, but it's just so much money that women are making so soon. And you remember there was the whole controversy about kids coming out of the NBA too early. They were going to come out of high school at 18, and there's like, oh, we got to stop this because they're too young. They don't know what they're doing. And you started seeing people get very jealous about that. I always felt the whole have to come out at 18 was just a jealousy issue. Like Kobe Bryant came out at 18. He was just fine.
Shaq's just fine.
Yeah. I look at Kevin Garnett. He's just fine. Moses Malone is just fine. Like these players were phenomenal players. So I always think it's one of these issues.
By just fine, I mean they would have hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah. It's just a situation where I'm like you really need to not worry about other people's money. So that's the whole issue that I would say. And the other thing is, if you're a creative marketer, you can figure out ways to make money. Be the accountant who just is the accountant for OnlyFans people. You're just an influencer accountant. I know someone who's doing that right now, making a killing.
Crushing.
How about the real estate agent? Have you seen the female real estate agent who films OnlyFans content and only sells to creators? I have a friend of mine, Savannah Staggs. That's what she does right now in Las Vegas. She sells real estate to OnlyFans creators and makes so much money because she's found that niche. So that's what I would do. But here's the only thing. If you're a lady and you're on OnlyFans, pay your taxes. Pay your taxes. I don't care what your friend told you. The IRS is coming for you. Would you say the strongest force in the entire world is the IRS? They got 11 aircraft carriers behind them. They're coming for you. So that's the other issue.
They
but
just
yeah,
hired 82,000 more reps for that.
for sure.
Ready to go.
Look at the weapons budget for the IRS. I'm not kidding you. The IRS, I think, owns something like 18,000 shotguns. It's not a joke. Yeah.
Okay, so on the mental side, guys are out there and they want to build their personal brand, but they don't know how. Once they finally, either when they go through Men of Action or they buy a book on personal branding or they finally figure it out, how does someone make more money by having a bigger personal brand?
So I would say, and this is what I told, I spoke at Ty Lopez's event 2 days ago. The number one thing that I think you and I take this for granted because we forget this sometimes is that you have to solve a problem for someone else. What is a great lawyer actually? When you think about Harvey Specter or like any caricature of a great lawyer, he's someone who makes problems go away.
Love it.
That's it. That's all a really great lawyer. He doesn't have to litigate. He just, hey, I'll handle this. And he makes problems go away. If you think about this as an entrepreneur, what problems can I make go away for other people? Give away a bunch of free content showing that I'm a subject matter expert in whatever that field is. And then if 1% of my audience buys my program, I will be outrageously wealthy. So you're the accountant who specifically deals with a certain, like you deal with construction workers or you deal with gig workers or whatever, but you're a specific type of accountant. You start hosting like webinars. You let people come on there for free, ask questions for hours. In the beginning, you're like, man, this guy's really smart. He's going to help me do my taxes. And then by the end, you're like, fuck, I don't know what I'm doing. This guy's got to do my taxes for me. I have one of my clients, Mark Perlberg, he actually is an accountant. He has Zoom calls every week. And now he's like, I have too much business. Like I can't possibly serve all these people who want to come to my accounting firm. And he did it specifically because he was able to show subject matter expertise. And as we know, paying taxes is a problem that people don't want to deal with.
Right.
Accountants make problems go away. That's why they make so much money. Doctors, or supposedly, hypothetically, are supposed to make problems go away. When you see all these other people, the social media marketing agencies are supposed to make problems go away. And so when you think about that as an entrepreneur, how can I make more money? The answer is, first off, how am I exchanging my time for money instead of my money for time? And then secondly, what is the problem that I'm solving in comparison to anyone else? And here's the big one. A lot of people will come to me with a problem they're solving, and then I'll look and I'll be like, I know 50 other people that are doing the same app that you're doing. Sure. Have you just go on TikTok for 5 seconds and look and see if somebody else has a business just like yours, and you can find it very quickly. But that's the main thing. Don't solve your problem, solve other people's problems. Wayne Huizenga made $1 billion with waste management. Do you think Wayne Huizenga woke up one morning and was like, I want to clean other people's shit. That's what I want to do for a living. That's my passion. I want to clean porta potties and clean out dumpsters. No, but he made money because he made other people's problems go away.
Why, on the investing side, is it important for people to invest into their personal brands?
The personal brand thing is such a key motivator. There's several things. Number one, your cost per client decreases the bigger your organic reach goes. So if you can build a brand, Hormozi is a great example. Imagine being a sales guy for Alex Hormozi. You're probably getting guys who come on the calls and lay down all the time because they're huge fans of him personally, right? Anytime you have a big brand like that, that's always what you're going to find is that you're going to have people lay down for you. And so the bigger my brand has gotten, the more my sales team is like, hey, this guy just came in. He's like, I just want to do 20K paid in full, like no questions asked, right? So that's the first thing. The other reason why is it because it gets you in other doors. Like it was such a privilege for me to get to speak at your events, to get to speak at Ty Lopez's events, to get to speak on stage at Brad Lee's place, to get to speak on, to go on podcasts with Wes Watson or do anything like that, or having Ryan Pineda on my show or Ryan Stewman or any of those people who I consider to be mentors. When it's a privilege for me, but the only reason why I get that privilege is because I have a personal brand, which opens those doors for me. And here's a third one, and this is not going to apply to everyone, but if you're a man and you have a personal brand that shows expertise, high levels of competency, relevancy, access to scarce resources, you know what you get with that? It's really easy to date in those situations. It makes it very easy to date. It's very easy to do so. So that's something I highly recommend for people, is that the funny thing about a personal brand is that it also makes you one of the cool kids. It makes you really popular. You get invited on cool podcasts. You get to go on cool trips. And by the way, you see this t-shirt? Hey, accountant, I'm writing this whole thing off. Like this trip is a write-off. So that's the other thing that's really great about being a content creator and building a brand.
So let's say someone has built their personal brand, starts to make some money, or they're on OnlyFans, start to make some money. Why do you think it's important they start investing into things like real estate, stock market, private equity, venture deals, S&P 500? Why should people start investing their money?
Well, the really conservative answer is you're fighting against inflation. Inflation is coming for you. Sometimes more than others. Than this recent administration, we've had more inflation than usual. So that would be the first reason why, is because if you put your money in the bank. Remember, and you know in sports they have wins against replacement war. Wins against replacement with money is putting your money in the bank. That's a replacement level investment. You just leave it there. And so you're losing against inflation. What you want to do, what's a really basic thing to do, is certificates of deposit. That's very low level of interest that you're going to get from there. You can take more risk, but the best risk, the best ROI that you can possibly do is investing in your own business. There's nothing that does better than that, because of the way that your business can grow scalably. Me investing in someone else's business, I might get lucky. I might have invested in Ripple at the right time, or XRP, or I might have invested in Bitcoin at the right time. But the reality of the situation is I'm not solving someone else's problem when I invest in those things, and it's speculative. In my own business, the ROI is magnificently high, which is why it's so important to do that. But additionally, let's just say you have cash sitting on the sideline after you've had some success with your business. Real estate is a really great way to invest, because in general, it's probably going to go up over time. But additionally, there's the depreciation, there's 1031 write-downs you can do. There's depreciation that you can write against your own income. That's really, really fantastic. And it's one of the reasons why wealthy people stay wealthy. I know some guys who own 400 or 500 doors, and because of depreciation, they pay nothing in taxes. And these guys are making $600,000-$700,000 a year, and they're paying nothing in taxes. So I think that's another great thing, is that concept right there with the ability to, with real estate. The other one I would say is I would become familiar with equity markets. I would become familiar with them. It doesn't mean you have to become an expert, but I would at least know enough about how to do a buy order or a sell order when it comes. I think everyone should have a brokerage account and just understand maybe how to sell a stock option spread, or have some understanding, if you see a company that you like, hey, I should be able to buy it on my own, instead of hiring a money manager to do that.
So as you guys know, I go through this thing called the 40-40-20 investment principle. I like to do 40% in small risk and low risk, which is 5 to 9% a year. I like to do 40% that's medium risk, hoping to make 10 to 30% for the year. I like to do 20% high risk. That's my shot at glory, that if I get this right, 5x, 8x, 12x, something crazy would happen. But if I get it wrong, the medium risk and low risk should hopefully cover the high risk.
Yeah.
On the low risk side, there's a couple of key ones. I do the S&P 500, which over the last 92 years has averaged 11.1% a year. Nothing can beat 11% a year. Nothing, on a consistent basis. And we think about those 92 years, there's been ups and downs. We've had depressions and recessions, and the whole world has shut down. Yet, still, it has returned 11% a year over all these years. This year, it's actually at 26%. Mm-hmm. Like, that is life-changing when you really think about it over the course of time. The other thing is, your bank right now, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase Bank, like household name banks, are offering 5.1% for a CD. That's not low risk, that's no risk.
Yeah.
And by the way, if Bank of America goes bankrupt, we got way more things to worry about anyway.
Yeah.
So
if Bank of America goes bankrupt, the zombies have showed up, exactly. And we're at nuclear war. Yes.
So imagine your own bank. Let's say you've got 10 grand in your bank account. You could literally move like 6 grand over and get 5% a year in your own bank with your own bank, and there's no risk to it. And so you should also be considering a CD. If you knew nothing, at least get 5% a year, because it does add up. On the medium risk side, there's 3 main categories. There's real estate, cash flowing businesses, and the stock market. I'm not going to walk through all of them, but those are the 3 main categories that I focus on. Real estate for either rentals, flipping, long-term investing. Stock market for household name companies like Amazon, Google, Netflix, Tesla, Facebook, things that you use and buy. Maybe you should consider owning some Apple stock. If you buy Apple iPhones every year for $1,500, maybe you should buy some Apple stock.
Yeah.
One of the best performing stocks of all time. And then on the cash flowing businesses, that's where I like to invest into. Like you hear me talk about Everbowl. I've invested in Everbowl for the last 6 years. And that has gone, obviously, from 13 locations when I first invested, 96 locations now. That's been a really good investment. So I like finding cash flowing businesses that I can invest money into. On the high risk side, there's two main categories. There's cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, things like that. And there's private equity deals, angel investments into, when you see me invest into Hostage Tape, Icon Meals, BLK Water, Rise Coffee, Cards and Coffee, things like that. Those are higher risk, but I reduce my risk by finding good operators that are doing 2 to 20 million in sales. Now, if you do these things, obviously, I do a wide spectrum of them because I don't want to go all in on any one thing. No matter how much I love Apple, I wouldn't sell my kidney and just buy Apple stock.
Yeah.
I like to buy Amazon, Google, Walmart, Netflix, other things too. If I love the S&P 500 because it's low risk, and you might be listening like, I love low risk, that's great. Doesn't mean you do all low risk because you're not making enough at 5% to cover inflation, which is 9%. And so thinking about for yourself, what type of investor are you? Do you like low risk, medium risk, or high risk? Or do my strategy of doing all three, low risk, medium risk, and high risk, and mix it all up? Michael Sartain, why should people invest into their minds? Why should they be buying books, buying courses, going to events? Why should they get their minds right?
Man, there's some times when I wish I could take a year off and just like catch up on all the books that I've wanted to read. I've read 3 books this week, and I really love the idea. So I'm doing 75 hard, so I have to read 10 pages of a physical book. I'm reading Dr. David Buss's textbook on evolutionary psychology, and then I'm also listening to other audiobooks, and I've gotten really good, honed into about 2.5 speed, and if you really practice, you can get to 3.0. It's one of the reasons why I talk so fast. I have to slow down is because I listen to audiobooks at triple speed. It's one of the greatest gifts I've ever had. You can absolutely, I tell people this all the time, if right now you are making less money than an Uber Eats driver, quit your job, go drive for Uber Eats, put the AirPod in, the food doesn't need you to talk to it while you're delivering it, and listen to podcasts, YouTube videos, go to iTunes, go to Coursera, go to the Khan Academy. You can learn a skill set that can make you millions of dollars, that can create an ability for you to get a scalable business, or if nothing else, learn copywriting, learn how to code. There's so many things you can do. If anything, you need to be learning how to use ChatGPT, the functionality on that app, just so you can keep up with other people. I think there's so many opportunities that you have right now from reading, listening, and learning. And most of it's free. And if it's not free, it's like, I think the books on Audible are $12, like $12.35 or something like that. There's no excuse for you to not be reading enough. There's another thing you mentioned before about the S&P 500. I just want to tell people this. So as a fund manager, I'm going to tell you that 83% of active investors don't beat the S&P 500.
Sure.
And everyone thinks, well, that's not me. But people don't understand statistics. Most people who do active investing don't make as much money as the S&P 500. Right. So it's really difficult for people to grasp that because they don't like this idea of the sheep mentality. But the reality of the situation is active investors generally, because of sometimes from bid-ask spread and from costs, from slippage and things like that, they don't do as well. So I think it's really important. Instead, I would say invest in yourself and invest in your business first. When you have cash flow set to the side, I do think the S&P 500 and real estate are probably the best ideas there.
So the S&P 500, just to be clear, is the top 500 companies on the planet that are publicly traded. And so the theory is, will they go from 2 trillion to 3 trillion, 3 trillion to 4 trillion, 4 trillion to 5 trillion? The answer is yes, by the way, because it's been going on for 92 years in a row.
Yeah.
If you think that iPhone 16 is coming, iPhone 17, iPhone 18, if you think that General Electric and Amazon are going to get bigger, if you think Netflix will add more subscribers, you could just spread it out by investing in the S&P 500. Last set of questions. On the charity side, why should people attach philanthropy toward their personal brands?
So the number one reason for me is to help the charity. First off, my biggest one is probably animal rescue. In the end, you just don't understand how fortunate you are. If you make $32,000 a year, you are in the top 1% of wage earners on Earth. On Earth. You live on a planet where half the planet lives on $5 a day, and the 10 wealthiest men in the world have more money than the bottom 60% of humans on the planet. Yeah. You live in a time after the advent of antibiotics. You don't understand, your life expectancy is so much higher, and you take it for granted.
I used to be 30 years old.
I mean, when you consider antibiotics and dental care, how much it's changed the entire world, and you consider the wealthiest man in the world, Henry VIII, died of gout, which is something we could have cured today. I read this the other day. Syphilis had a 99% mortality rate before antibiotics. 99%. You have no idea how lucky you are. You are watching watching Dan and I at beams shot over satellites, and unless you're a flat earther and you don't believe in any of this, the beams shot over satellites at 186,000 at 186,282 miles a second. You have the unbelievable luck that you have. You're watching this right now for free on your phone with high-speed internet. You are amongst the wealthiest humans who have ever existed on the planet. The incredible, fortunate position that you're in. Of course, you need to invest in yourself and take advantage of the fact that you live in these times. Now, there's disadvantages. We've gotten so far away from a survival scenario that we're weak. Sure. Testosterone levels consistently decrease, and our water is polluted by estrogens and other things, plastic, stuff like that. There are negatives to living in this this modern technological society. But man, you got to have gratitude, man. If you don't understand, read Steven Pinker's book, the Enlightenment Now, or read the Singularity is Nearer by Rick Kurzweil, and you understand how unbelievably lucky you are to be living today, man. It's really, really fortunate.
If we walked into the stadium, we go to SoFi Stadium today, and we just threw a tennis ball at 10 different guys in the room. Yeah. And we took those 10 guys and put them in a third world country for 30 days. How many of them would survive?
Probably one. There'd probably be one that'd be able to survive. And if there was one of them was a lady and she was really pretty, she'd probably be able to survive. But it's very difficult. I was reading, so we would go over disaster scenarios when I was in the military, like nuclear disaster scenarios. And I think if they detonated an EMP over Kansas and knocked out all the electrical hardware in like the middle part of the North America, you'd have a 95% mortality rate in 3 weeks because people wouldn't be able to get food. 95% of people would die if we lost our technological advantage. That's how dependent we've gotten on our technology, and because of that, you see things again. Traditional masculinity. The American Psychological Association said that traditional masculinity was harmful. They considered it a disorder. Why is that? Because the further and further we get away from a survival scenario, the more people need to. The concepts of violent, strong men taking action, being leaders, being assertive and industrious and ambitious has become more and more toxic as they believe. And so that's one of the issues that we've seen as we get further and further away from a survival scenario. We see more of that. And then what is the mismatch that happens? Women are still attracted to those they're not toxic actually, but those masculine qualities, but yet the world is telling you to not have them. And so that's kind of the issue where we've gotten to right now. And that goes back to what we teach in Men of Action.
Last question, since you said Men of Action, is about Men of Action.
Yeah.
Why have 2,500 and growing men signed up for it? Why is it important?
So when I built this course, I built it through the experiences of thousands of clients that I'd had previous to starting the course and my own experiences. I used to manage a nightclub. I worked in nightlife in Las Vegas for 13 years. And then I was also a military officer for 7. I'd use those experiences to build the course. But what happened probably around 2016 is I was introduced to the concept of evolutionary psychology. And through actually 2014, the concepts of evolutionary psychology, I didn't realize Dr. Buss and I went to the same university. And so I became really, really invested in evolutionary psychology. And one of the things I found is that these PhDs who I had no exposure to whatsoever and had no exposure to social media, because a lot of these studies were done in the 80s, 90s, etc., we came to the exact same conclusions. When I look at concepts in evolutionary psychology, I was like, there are PhDs actually studying who actually cheats more. This is a question, about high status men and who cheats more, and women do this. And I'm like, they've been studying this since the 1970s. There's a hard science on this called evolutionary psychology. Because my course is based in evolutionary psychology, it never goes out of style. And because my course is based in evolutionary psychology, what happens is if you ever come on one of my Zoom calls and we do the gallery mode, you'll see African American, Black person, Asian person. You see a completely mix. And there was no intention on our part of making this a multicultural program. It's just the problems that men deal with are ubiquitous. It does not matter what your race is, and it does not matter what country you live in. Men in Uganda and men in Norway all are seeking higher status and higher sexual selection. So because we built the course with understanding evolutionary principles, that's the reason why the course is ubiquitous with helping men, and the reason why so many men have been joining the course. It works. We're doing things that have been proven. Not only is it trust me, bro, do I know guys who've just insanely good with women, but in addition to that, it's also PhDs who've done studies and done things on again, look up mate choice copying. If you've ever known inherently that guys who have women get more women, you've known that, but you didn't know, you kind of inherently knew it, but you didn't see a study on it. Then you look up mate choice copying, you find out since the 1970s, they've been proving this to be true. So that's why I love evolutionary psychology so much. And that's what I attribute the success of the program to.
What's the website?
MOAmentoring.com. And if you guys, Sam Ovens app School with Alex Hormozy, it's school.com/men of action free. If you want to join our free program, it's men-of-action-free. If you guys want to join that, and you guys can find out all the different things we have going on. We have a free course in there. It's several dozen hours long. The first 4 steps of MOA, we're giving away that for free. And several other things we have for free. Also, we have 200 video testimonials on there. And by the way, the only reason we have 200 testimonials is because the video editor couldn't do 500. That's the reason why. So if you guys want to go and check that out, you're more than welcome to. Please check us out on School.
All right, guys, you will see Michael Sartain stopping by throughout the year. Obviously, on the podcast, he'll be a regular here. Make sure to visit us at themoneymondays.com. Recently, we launched Elevator Mortgage, and obviously, that's a very new thing for us. We partnered with a $4 billion a year mortgage company. So if you need mortgages, you go to elevatorfunding.com. Also, we do business loans through elevatorfunding.com. But most importantly, we've been running this ad-free. We're on week 85, I think now, or 86. We've been staying in the top 5 in the business category and the entrepreneur category for 81 of those 85 weeks. So that's due to you guys. So liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, all those things really truly help us a lot. So we can keep this going ad free for you guys to make it a nice 35, 38 minute type podcast. So I'm not sitting here reading these, long ads for you. Nothing really against commercials or ads. If it was a household name company like Wells Fargo or Cash App or someone I use, I would do it. But ultimately, I don't want to be reading about whatever. You know what I'm going to say. My goal for you guys is to listen to these, share the clips that you like, share with your friends, and most importantly, have discussions with your friends, family, and followers about money. We all grew up thinking it's rude to talk about money. That is insane. We have to talk about money. And because of our society, there's so many people that don't know how to balance a checkbook, pay for taxes, what is a credit score. They don't know how to spell IRS. We need people to figure these things out, and that comes from having discussions. So we will see you guys next Monday. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Money Mondays. We are here inside the RV motorhome parked right outside of Hubble Studios because we're running back-to-back events today. We have the Content CEO Workshop. It's Roger Rojas, my videographer, his 5th time throwing these content workshops. And this evening, we have 30 women coming for an all-women speakers event for the 55th edition of Elevator Nights. And so, because of that, I'm only speaking for 1 hour in the daytime. And I'm not speaking, obviously, to nighttime. So, I have the motorhome out here in the parking lot running back-to-back podcasts for your listening pleasure. As you guys know, these podcasts run for under 40 minutes because the average workout is 45 minutes and the average commute to work is 45 minutes. So this episode will be between 34 and 38 minutes. Now, this gentleman, our guest, happens to be in town all the way from the land down under. He is here from Australia, and I caught him right before he's flying back to his hometown. And so, without further ado, what we're going to do is I'm going to do a quick 2-minute bio so we can get straight to the money. Please, Michael Mojo, give us the quick 2-minute bio.
All right. I'm the mindset coach for a lot of rich listers in Australia. I got to remember to talk slow as well because I'm Australian, and so I hope everyone can understand me. But I was a private coach for a lot of rich listers in Australia, and then I was running mindset events. What started happening was I realized that most of our audience were business owners, and I was asking them, why are you here? And they said, well, pretty much all of our problems were people problems, and so we need to learn more about people and how people think and how people operate. And I went, shit, I can help them. So we started a business mastermind, and we've sort of been scaling that throughout Australia as well. We still run a lot of mindset events, but I think most people's problems in life are people problems. So that's where I come in. My expertise is human behavior.
Nice.
Yep.
So we covered 3 core topics here at the Money Mondays: how to make money, how to invest money, how to give it away to charity. I'm going to do a little bit of a twist today. I'm going to ask you about questions why people should invest into themselves and into their minds. So on the first part, on the making money side, what do you think holds people back from really making real money? People go get a normal job and they kind of get stuck there, and they're afraid to go get the side job or the entrepreneurial hustle or start that business that's been in their mind, that idea they've had. What do you think holds people back from greatness?
Wow, what a deep question straight up. I'm still trying to figure that out myself because I'm going, I know my limit's here, and every time I reach the limit just keeps going up as well, as you're aware.
Goal line moves.
100%. So the first thing, I've got a framework that I teach, and it's clarity times by standards plus environment equals what you call success. So the first thing is, if you don't have clarity, it's very, very hard to have high standards. If you don't have clarity plus the high standards or times the high standards, it's very, very hard to create an environment to thrive in. So the first thing that I always teach people is you have to have clarity. What does life look like? What's your success map in life? I saw there was a guy the other day who was a coach, and he put this post out and it said, everyone's flexing supercars and things like that. I did that. It didn't bring me any fulfillment. Hence why I posted this. He posted like how much money he was investing in something. And again, obviously knowing human behavior, he bought a car in order to flex because he thought that was going to give him the attention and the, whatever. Now he's flexing again because he thinks that showing how much money
$400,000 wire that he sent.
Yeah. And to me, all that was an insecurity, and it shows someone who has a lack of clarity. I'm a car guy. So I buy cars not to impress people. I buy cars because I love cars. Some people are boat people. Some people are plane people. I have a friend of mine who actually owns the branding rights. He's a client of mine as well. He owns the branding rights for the Hollywood sign. And I caught up with him the other day, and he was talking. He bought his first supercar at 57. But before that, he's always had helicopters, planes, because he's a plane guy. So my point is that you have to have clarity around what fulfills you in your life. For some people, it's family. For some people, it's travel. For some people, it's cars. For some people, it's what is it? So you've really got to get clear on, first of all, I believe your life purpose, your values. What are the things that you actually value that are physical and tangible, not the woo-woo values that are like kindness and compassion and real values. Then you need to understand what your lifestyle balance looks like. We spoke last night, you're a crazy entrepreneur, so your lifestyle balance for most people would kill them. But that's your balance. For me, my balance is working long weeks, training hard, a lot of physical exercise, a lot of physical movement, a lot of hanging out with people. I can monetize that really, really well, but for most people, they can't. So you've got to figure out what your lifestyle balance looks like. You also have to figure out what your mission, your vision, and your goals are, and then just go after them. The only other thing that stops most people is if it's not their clarity or their standards, it's going to be their environment. So if you grow up in a low socioeconomic area, most people, their idea of money is if you're successful, you're probably a drug dealer. That's because that's what they grew up seeing. So as you know in your comment section, you start making money, bet he's dealing drugs. I bet he's got to be doing something illegal because that's what they grew up around. For other people in middle class, they work hard and they go, well, you can't be making money. You can't be that rich because I work hard, you work hard. How can you be so far ahead? So there's got to be something you're doing that's illegal. So the environment creates the belief structure,
So for the first time in like 85 weeks, Michael dropped so much fire that the actual fire alarm went off. I don't know if you could hear the bombs dropping, but the literal fire alarm went off. The doors are open on the RV motorhome. The windows are dropped down for safety purposes. So let's get right back into it.
Awesome.
On the investing money side of things, why should people invest into their bodies? Why into their bodies? I'm going to ask you about the mind afterwards.
Okay.
Why should they invest into their health?
Having worked in a medical center for many, many years, and I got into the mindset space about 13 years ago because I was working in a medical center and I realized that everyone knows what to do, they just don't do it, especially when it comes to their health, right? But the key thing is like with your physical body is a feedback mechanism to your mind, and your mind is a feedback mechanism to your body. So the way we think, and everyone knows this out there, right? Like you're stressed out, you're frustrated. With the way your mindset works, and I know you said we'll get onto mindset next, but really the way that your mind works is when you're stressed out and fearful, your body creates impulses to counterbalance it. So pain essentially drives pleasure, and pleasure drives back to pain again. So we get caught in these loops. Most people's pain response or way of dealing with pain is normally self-destructive to their physical body. So alcohol, drugs, overeating, most things that most people do are destructive towards their health. But the health is a feedback mechanism to the mind, and the mind is a feedback mechanism to the body. And so over time, the more your mind deteriorates, the more your body deteriorates, and the more your body deteriorates, the more your mind deteriorates. So at some point, you've got to hit a breaker switch and change the way you think about your health and change the way you think about your mindset. And if we can improve those two things together, then you can improve things like your finances, your relationships, the way you live life. So I think health is everything, really.
Why should people, especially business owners and entrepreneurs, invest into hiring a coach or joining a mastermind?
Why wouldn't you? I deal with a lot of business owners in Australia and a lot of high net worth individuals. I coach them privately. Some people come to me and they say, I want to grow my business, and you give them the price to work with someone like me. And they go, shit, that's expensive. I need to think about it. And I say, can I swear on the podcast?
Of course.
Awesome. I say, I just got to make sure, right? So, sometimes I get in trouble. But I say things like, listen here, motherfucker. You just went out and you bought a $110,000 truck. You drive it off the showroom floor. You just dropped 20 grand immediately. So you have no problems losing $20,000, 100% guaranteed, because your friends and family can see it and you feel like you have something tangible. So what you're telling me is that the investment in a $20,000 immediate loss is more valuable than your own mindset and your own physical body. Does that sound stupid to you? And things that are common don't get you to where you want to be in life. So it is common, especially in Australia and America, to be fat and overweight. That's common, but commonality sucks. So just because common people do it and it feels common and it feels okay and it feels normal doesn't mean that it's good. So I don't know why people wouldn't invest in their own mindset. Like, this thing here controls everything. It controls our habits. It controls our behavior. It controls our value. It controls how we perceive the world. Why would you not want to improve that thing? It's our greatest investment, right? You and I both met people who have made a lot of money and have fucked it all up and lost it.
For sure.
Why? It's normally something stupid that they did because of the way they were thinking. So if you can't control your mind, it's very, very hard to control other things. And especially when you start making money, how much easier is it to lose it because of the stupid decisions you make? Like, it's hard to make it. It's very easy to lose it. So you want to have someone like me or like somebody else that can hold you accountable. A lot of these high net worth guys don't come to me as their private coach because I can teach them how to make money. They come to me because they're about to do something stupid. They're doing something self-destructive, or they want to get to the next level and they start sitting in that comfort zone. But as we all know, right, the comfort zone is probably the most destructive place that we can be, especially for people like us. You know, my community is called the driven mofos.
It's awesome.
It's because driven motherfuckers can't rest. Like, I can't rest. You can't rest, right? I'm sure you all can't rest. We've got to do shit. If not, we self-destruct. Yeah. Driven people self-destruct and they fuck everything up to push them back down to a place where they get their drive back. I value my drive more than I value having shit. So even when I have shit, I just want to stay driven. I want to stay achieving something because that's where my worth and my validation comes from.
So Bajors Kulian refers to a backyard dog theory. He's like, dogs in the backyard, if they have nothing to do, start to dig holes.
Yes.
You dig holes in your life.
Yeah.
If you have nothing to do and you're just walking around the backyard and there's no ball to play with, there's nothing to chase, you have no inspiration or activation, you dig holes in your life.
Yeah.
Whether that's gambling, drugs, whatever, binge watching, overeating, etc., you dig holes in your life to keep yourself occupied because you just don't have that driven purpose.
Yeah.
So when I talk to people about joining a mastermind or joining one of my groups or one-on-one coaching, etc., it depends on the level of the price points.
Mm-hmm.
I have free, which is like tonight we have elevator nights. Throwing that 55 times, it's free. I have $200 a month, which is the moneymondays.com, which you're listening to now. There's a $200 a month version that all goes to charity. I have a $1,000 version, learnpersonalbranding.com. I have $6,000 to go to Operation Black Site and get military training, learn how to fight, shoot, escape, etc. $20,000 is where it gets interesting. So $20,000, similar to what you just said about the 20K price point, during this coaching or joining a mastermind, I explained to them, I said, if you have a business doing $1 or $2 million in revenue, do you think that our friends and investors, my 25 years experience and the people in my circle, can help you make or save 1%? We all know the answer is yes, and it's a lot more than 1%. But if I can help you make or save 1%, then the 20,000 is free, right?
Yeah.
I really started that from my $100,000 masterminds, which started in 2019. I only used that pitch because my members had to have $10 million or more in sales.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, I have 22 instructors. Do you think that me, my co-founder, and 22 instructors, and the 100 members that are going to be in the room that are doing more than 10 million can help you make or save 1%? It would be rude of you to say no because it's ludicrous, because obviously we can, whether it's to help you save on taxes, shipping, accounting, legal, web design, e-commerce, affiliate programs, whatever the thing is, it's going to help you make or save 1%. And you're doing 10 million in sales, well, that's $100,000 or $200,000 or $300,000. Yeah. And the thing that you learn or the connection that you make, it doesn't go away. If I teach you how to save 3% on your taxes, that doesn't go away next year or the following year, and you're going from 10 million to 14, 14 to 16, 16 to 22, etc. And you still know that trick or that connection. And so we have a very high close rate because it's free.
Yeah.
It sounds like $100,000, but if you're doing 14 million sales, it's literally free.
Yeah.
And so why does it matter? Joining masterminds or getting one-on-one coaching from someone that you look up to or aspire to be like or like their lifestyle or like the business acumen that they have is the fast forward button to life. Let me give you a quick example. Let's say you want to start a clothing brand. And Michael wants to start a clothing brand and Dan wants to start a clothing brand. And we're standing at the edge of a forest, and the forest is the theoretical version of the clothing brand. At the end of the forest, the other side of all those trees is $10 million in sales. Well, if I start walking through the forest and Michael hires Damon John, who's done billions of dollars in sales, and gives him 20% of his business. And Damon John says, follow me. I'm going to show you where the dips are, where the trees are, where the snakes are, where's the tiger, where's the bear, where's the lake that you got to jump over so you don't get wet. I am just walking through the forest blind with no sword, no knife, just walking around like doop-de-doo, trying to get through the forest to get to the $10 million in sales. I'm going to have scratches, bruises, get bitten by snakes, get lost, fall into the lake.
Get eaten.
Right? The odds of me getting through the forest are very small, like the Princess Bride movie. Very few people got through that forest. Damon John is going to walk you through the forest, chopping down trees, chopping up snakes, avoiding this, fighting that, showing you how to walk around the lake so you don't lose your money like Dan is probably going to do 99 out of 100 times. That is the mentor. That is the coach. They've already gone through the forest back and forth and sideways. Damon John can walk through the forest and do cartwheels because he knows where the snakes are. He knows where the pitfalls are. He knows where the trees are.
Yeah.
The first-time entrepreneur doesn't. And even if I knew it a little bit or had some success and I crushed and did 5 million sales, still not Damon John who's done billions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do cartwheels through the forest. I'm going to probably fall into a hole. Damon John can because he's been back and forth through the forest. And so hiring mentors, hiring coaches, or joining masterminds in your niche, when you see someone that you like, aspire to be like, or like their lifestyle or business acumen because they have real experience, they're not a coach that coaches how to be a coach. There's someone that actually built a business in your category, like clothing is an example. It will literally fast forward your life. It'll fast forward your success rate. It will change everything by hiring someone who's been through the forest. Okay, on the investing side, as people start to make money in their lives, they start to make 100K, then it's 200K, now they're starting to make 500,000, they sell one of their houses, make an extra 400,000, they start to build up some real wealth. Why do you believe that they should start investing into assets, stock market, real estate, or whatever type of investment? Why do you think they should start investing their capital?
Great question. Well, the first thing that I want to say is that all leadership is self-leadership. So first of all, the greatest investment that you have to be aware of is that you as an individual are going to be the greatest asset to your organization. I was working with a sales guy only recently, and he came to me and he's like, my sales team aren't performing, and he was pissed off, and he said, my team aren't disciplined. And he said, I keep like hammering them, discipline. With sales, you got to be disciplined. And I stopped him and I said, do you think that you're disciplined? And he said, of course I'm disciplined. And I looked at him and he's got this big fat belly and it's like this shaggy shitty t-shirt on, and he hasn't shaven for like a couple of weeks. The guy looked like shit, to be honest. And I said to him, you can say that you're disciplined in the area of sales, but would you consider yourself a disciplined person? Because when you say you need to be more disciplined to your sales team, they're going to look at you and go, hang on, motherfucker, you're not that disciplined. Even though it's not in sales, they can tell straight away. So the first thing that I want to say is all leadership is self-leadership. After that, to invest, the greatest investment is always in yourself. And then after that, what you want to start to do is you want to look, I believe, this is my belief, is that you want to take some of the capital that you've got and then figure out where else you can invest. Now, I wouldn't recommend, if you're not investing in yourself, not a good idea to go out and slam money into something that you don't know. Invest in yourself first to go and learn the thing. So if you want to do crypto, go and learn from other people first and gain your knowledge in that area. Then from there, start to shift across. But I think the most important thing with investing, and why investing is important, is because everything in life has a risk attached to it. So there's a risk of not making a decision. There's a risk of making the decision. We always have to be aware of the risks. And I say this all the time. Every decision in life has consequences. So making a decision has a consequence, but not making the decision also has a consequence. What you want to do is you want to hire people that you can learn off of if you are going to invest, but you want to put some of the capital in other assets, because my belief is that there's a risk to everything. If all your capital is in one thing, that can change very, very quickly. You need to have something else that creates a bit of a buffer, especially for people who are entrepreneurial. Like, entrepreneurship is a high risk sport. so I just believe that you need to have other assets as well that are working in the background. I don't know if that answers the question, but you know, you do need other investments as well. And I think that if you have a look at a lot of business owners, they will have capital in other things. But what I would say is try and figure out what your path is. And this is just my experience of working with high net worth individuals. Find out what your thing is and don't go outside of that thing. Like, someone who is good in property, they normally do well in property, but when they start investing in the share market, a lot of them lose their money. Or if they jump into crypto, they'll lose their money. People who are good at crypto, if you're buying property to just sort of sit there and to just compound over time, that's a different story. But if you're actively having to do things, it takes time away from the thing that you're really good at. And then you start diversifying your energy, and that can go really bad at first. Over time, if you bring the right people around you and you've got the right managers and you've got ops people and stuff, that's a different story. So that's just from my experience. But you've got to, I mean, I don't know if that's the same as your experience as well. I don't know.
From the high net worth individuals that you coach, train, or interact with, how important is philanthropy in their world? Like, does it change them? Is it important for them to have it? Is it important for their family or for their corporations?
To give you the real answer to this is that in order to subscribe to capitalism, which I do, there is the law of value exchange. So in order to gain profit, you need to have more value in the organization than essentially what you're giving out. So we give value to the world, we have staff there, they're producing a set amount of value, but the business has to have more value kept in the business than what the employee produces, because if not, you just give all your profits to the employees, right? I think what happens is over time, as you become more profitable, there becomes something inside of us that has to balance out that value exchange, the law of value exchange. And so what you'll find is a lot of really good entrepreneurs eventually start to become philanthropic as a way of giving back to society, because they took from society in order to become capitalistic in order to build what they have. Sort of a bit of a balancing act in society. It's the old yin-yang principle, right? So I think philanthropy is important. I think that it's important at the right time. If you've got no money, and I watched my grandmother, I grew up when my grandmother was completely poor. My grandparents were, same as my parents. But my grandmother, because she considered herself a nice person, every time the charity would knock on the door, she'd go to her purse, grab out the little money that she had and gave it to them. When she was sick, no one was there to help her. The people that she'd helped, they weren't there. So what I would say is that there's a time and a place for everything. And you know, people criticize me because of this. There's a time and a place for everything. I think if you give what you've got, you'll have nothing left. But when you've got enough, then you know that you've got enough. It's a completely different lifestyle choice. It's a completely different mindset. So yeah, I think that's why I love business and I love entrepreneurship, because I think if we can create something great, add value to the world, you know, we build all of our wealth. There comes a time where then you can start looking after others, because in Maslow's hierarchy, down the bottom is survival. Once you get out of survival, you get to thrive. Means you get to help more people. It's very hard to help people when you're just struggling to survive, and that's where a lot of people live. So I don't know if that answers the question either, but that's what I've found anyway.
So how can people find you on social? Talk to us about your content. I see you do a lot of great video content. Like, how can people find you?
So Michael Mojo _success on Instagram. I'm just about to drop a whole bunch of brand new podcasts on season 3 of my podcast, which is The Underestimated Entrepreneur. Yes. I think almost all entrepreneurs are underestimated, so it resonated with me. So you can listen to that. I normally drop an episode a couple of times a week. And then michaelmojo.com.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So as you guys know, we keep this podcast ad-free so far for the first 86, 87 weeks that we've been running this. My goal for you guys is to listen to these 34, 38-minute type podcasts and really share this with your friends, family, and followers. It helps us when you like, comment, subscribe, etc. Visit us at elevatorfunding.com if you have any business or mortgage needs. If you can, visit us at themoneymondays.com. That's where we donate all that money to charity. It's $200 a month, and we do these live coaching calls every Monday at 4 o'clock. 100% of that goes to the wild jungle to help feed the animals. So it's really important to us to keep this ad-free. Help us support it by liking, commenting, subscribing. Check out Michael across social media. Check out his videos, and we will see you guys next Monday.